Yes, yes. Welcome back once again to the Endless Sounds Experience, the ESX Show. Man, I'm stoked to be here with y'all. I am Enrico Moses.eth. I'm here with my good buddy Box and my homie Ethan. And Ethan's going to introduce our dope guests that we have with us today.
Welcome back, y'all. Third episode of the ESX Show Metacast. Today we got Mr. Joel Bauman on with us. Joel is a professional mixed martial artist, a recording artist, and producer. And in 2012, he went viral for being one of the first collegiate athletes to challenge the NCAA's amateurism rule and was a catalyst for helping athletes getting paid today. Mr. Joel, welcome to the Metacast, my man.
What's going on? What's going on? Glad you guys had me on. I appreciate this. I actually skipped. Holly Holm just invited me to an event last night, and I had to turn her down for you guys. So,
Man, we feel honored, man, to have you.
yeah,
Thanks for joining us.
for sure. Appreciate you guys.
We
So yeah,
appreciate you, man.
why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into the space that you're in right now, kind of transforming professional athletes. Can you talk a little bit about, how that happened?
Yeah, man. So, I mean, it all starts back with kind of what Ethan said. I've done music for a long time, been an entrepreneur for a long time, and when I was in college, got into that's when I really got into serial entrepreneurship, and I just realized that I could get paid what I'm worth by being all that I am. So when the NCAA tried to tell me that I couldn't make money using my name, I thought that shit was crazy, right? So a couple of years later, now I'm a professional mixed martial artist using my name to accumulate wealth, influence, whatever you want to call it. And I've always been about ownership. I make music and I make my own beats and I record on my own music because I want to own all the rights. Once I started to realize the back end that people were getting hoed out of, deals, and I've been offered deals to sign with, different labels and stuff, and they want 70+% of your publishing, if you guys know what any of that is. And it's just like, what are you talking about? You're not going to hoe me out of that money. And, now looking at it with the UFC, or with Bellator, with any of these named companies, bleep that out if you have to. It's like with any of these MMA promotions, they aren't necessarily paying fighters what they're worth. Fighters are making, if some of the big name companies are paying 8.5%. And trust me, I know the numbers because I have one of the number one coaches in the world who is a part of what we're doing now, and sees the value in what we're doing. He knows the numbers. He has the contracts. I just mentioned a big name who he's worked with for a while. He knows all the ins and the outs of how much, fighters are getting screwed. So what we want to do is we want to shake up that entire multi-billion-dollar industry, and we're going to do it by giving fighters the rights to their fights. We're going to do it by allowing the world to participate in a fun way. And for those that see the vision and for those that want to be a part of it and get it, they're going to be, I believe they're going to be rewarded in a very, very powerful way in the next coming years.
Man, I love that. And I like when you're saying like the ownership, like the beats, and then the ownership and your fighting abilities and everything, just your name, like that gets me excited when I think about the evolution of technology. And I'm curious just and I know you're deep in the Web3 space, like how do you view that and the progression of all of what you're creating, like in music and in the fighting world?
It's interesting because when I think about business, right, business is all timing and placement. When you look at the metaverse, we're all still so early when it comes to this space. I used to do network marketing at a very, very high level, still am involved in the industry. And one of the things that we would teach people is there's 4 different stages of growth, right? We have formulation, concentration, momentum, and stability. And in every company, you want to get in, essentially, if you want to make the money, in concentration right before momentum when a company 10 times or 100 times itself. In Web3 and NFTs, a couple months ago, about 5 months ago, I started getting into Solana NFTs because everybody was on Ethereum, and I, noticed that the gas prices for Solana were super cheap. And now 5 months later, Solana is going through the roof, right? And everybody's starting to see the value there. And I did that because of timing and placement. So that's kind of where I learned and got my start with NFTs. And me and my business partner have made, a five-figure profit. Nothing crazy, but it's still a five-figure profit with very little investment. You know what I mean? And that's kind of, the long-term vision is we want to do the same thing, but on a bigger scale with our own. I mean, why buy anybody else's NFT when you can have your own? You know?
Big time. I'm curious of, you getting into the NFT space and kind of like, getting your feet wet. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience for some of the people who are learning about this space?
Yeah, so for me, like I said, man, I've always been a proponent of people owning the rights to their music, owning the rights to their thing, whatever they own. So a couple of years ago, I sold beats, right? That's what I did for a while. I had a beat making website where I'd sold beats, and I'm just like, you know, I feel like beat makers and producers were already ahead of the curve on that, right? You buy this thing, you own it one of one. Hey, if you make a song about this, if you make a song with this beat, you're gonna give me 50% of whatever the song grosses residually, right? So producers have always, and the music industry has always thought this way. I just personally, when I was thinking about, 10 months or no, about a year ago, I was thinking about how we could do this with fighting. So I didn't know, I kind of knew about NFTs, just a little bit, but I just didn't know how to make it. I didn't know what smart contracts were. I didn't know what any of that language was. But I always had the idea, like, man, if fighters could sell the rights to their fights as NFTs, that would be insane, right? Like that just makes sense. So I guess that's kind of where my journey started. We started my Fight for You. We had my first event. We had no NFTs and nothing like that, but I did a promotion and a show in my hometown, and we had one of the #1 shows in the country. Like, I fought for some big name organizations. In my small town, we destroyed it. We crushed national records as far as tickets sold, like for pre-sale, liquor sales. There's about 2,500 people showing up, and that was without me fighting. I had to pull out last minute. So if I fought, we think we would have had at least 500 more people there. And in the small town where I come from, that's crazy. And that always stuck in the back of my mind, like, man, if I could monetize this and continue to get paid off of this, like those 2,500 people, it's a crazy crowd. Like, if we would have had the fight footage for that, it would have been insane. Everybody in the country would have wanted to fight on our cards when they saw what we did. So I'm just like, man, that was the best crowd I had ever been to that I didn't even get a chance to fight in. So now it's just like, we can do that. We can do that with Web3. We can do that with NFTs. And my team is super excited to be here, and especially right now, man. We are still so early. The masses haven't even transitioned yet. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah.
When talking about, you mentioned timing and placement earlier, and how that's kind of one of the key cornerstones of business. Where do you think, in the kind of the grand scheme, we're at in terms of the timing and placement of people truly being able to own and move their own IP in a way that's, sovereign? It's like, how early do you think you are? Where in that scale do you think we're at with this?
Personally, I would say that we are in I would say we're in a pre-concentration phase for NFTs as a whole. I don't think we see momentum until we see the actual capabilities of the metaverse, meaning I'm invested in a couple different Solana NFTs and metaverses. I'm thinking, one is Desolates, right? Their floor price has jumped up a bunch since I first got in, and I remember it was struggling to get over 2 Sol for months. And now that there's been some reveals of what you can do within the metaverse, people are going crazy. They're like, "Wow, this is pretty cool." Before there was a little bit of questions, but now we're starting to be able to see almost like the utility and what we can do with the metaverse. So I think that once the metaverse is kind of once these other NFTs and once there's many different metaverses that you can experience, that's when I believe that momentum will hit. I don't believe we hit momentum until then. And real world utility. I don't think we hit momentum until people really truly see the real world utility of NFTs. Like people are now buying and selling houses as NFTs, right? That it had to happen. The first one had to get sold in Florida or whatever a couple months ago for people to now see it happening. Tory Lanez was just on, I think the Nelk Boys podcast or and he was talking about when he sold his album as an NFT a couple months ago. I remember when he dropped on YouTube, dropped the single. I went and I listened to it just because I'm competitive and I always like to hear what people are doing sonically and whatnot. And that was when I realized, oh shit, he's releasing shit as an NFT. Okay, this is now where the shift is happening. So then I started, putting my music up as NFTs and whatnot because the shift is happening, but the masses aren't hip to it yet. And I believe, you know what I mean? And that's where influencers and celebrities and all that are, I think, kind of helping push that. But until the average person sees the utility, I don't think we're there yet.
I'm listening to you and I'm like, I wonder when that tipping point's going to be and what utility, like physical real world utility is going to take it over.
Fight for you.
Yeah, fight for you. Yeah. Us.
Why not?
People doing
bingo.
our product. Yeah.
Bingo. Why not own everything that you're a fan of? Why not be a part owner of everything that you're a fan of? It's the same thing that we did with network marketing. In network marketing, you buy into the company. Now you're a part of the company. You're a part owner, and you can share it and get compensated. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. NFTs are literally it's like network marketing 2.0, and you're just it's hype though.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's strictly hype. Will this team deliver what they say they're going to deliver? And you're betting on that vision. I've been a part of a couple rug pulls. I think we all have. And if you've been in this space for as long as we have, right? A couple months or whatever, like you got to experience the wins and the losses. And, now you know how to see, okay, this team is probably going to win. This team, if it's not doxed, I probably shouldn't invest my money. Right now, these are all conversations. So consciousness is rising in the NFT community, as is the world, and I think it's all going to be a reflection of what you want to offer. I want to help fighters.
Yeah.
I give a fuck if I make any money in Fight for You. I've already, my team and everything, we've kind of gone over shares and we're going over roles now. And like I'll own the most share. I'll take some of the money that I make and make sure fighters get paid. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like I want to add value to everybody that comes in. You understand? Like that's super important to me. So I think when people start having a value-based mindset and they offer utility-based NFTs that create value in other people's life, you're gonna win. And that's the point. It's just business,
100%. Like, and then the part that we talk about often on here is just the empowerment of creatives. Like creatives are no longer shelled up. Like that's what's so thrilling to me. You're also giving there's an art form. Fighting is an art form. Sports and entertainment are art forms. Music is an art form. And now giving that power back to the people, like we get excited about that, giving that, and like thinking about music, like is this the music Metacast here? Like, do you have a vision for how that, like in your own life, is gonna progress along with the Web3 space? I know we talked about it a little bit. Yeah, tell us about that.
So with my music, everybody asks me, they're like, Joel, why don't you do music videos? Why don't you, I've been putting out music for like 8 years. I haven't really done any music videos, and here's why. Because sonically, I've wanted to create my own sound. And now I believe I've done that. When you look at all the billionaires in hip hop, whether it's P. Diddy, whether it's Kanye West, whether it's Dr. Dre, whatever, all of them have made or were a part of a sound. Dre had knocking drums, knocking bass, crystal clear vocals, right? P. Diddy and Bad Boy, when they first came out, there was like a lot of highs, there's a lot of pop, and then the like Biggie's
The
vocals, for
remix,
instance.
they did the remix,
Bingo,
you know.
exactly. You get it, right? So when those were all sounds, Kanye West came in, had his own sound. Me personally, I've just been focused on my own sound because I believe that's what's important. When you listen to it, like when I first started making music, I was all just hitting the notes and hitting the beat pad. I bring it to my audio engineer who used to be signed to the Black Eyed Peas and learn audio engineering from their Grammy Award-winning audio engineer, Prince Boy, right? Producer and audio and engineer. And when I would bring my music to him, I think it's fire. I think it's so dope. And he'd be like, oh yeah, this is pretty good, but you definitely need it mixed. And I would look at him like, what do you mean mixed? I had no idea what he meant by that. But then he would take it, make that shit sound fire, and I couldn't question him. So I had to learn that there is more to it than just putting sounds down. You have to mix it, master it, make sure everything sits, and it's like a painting, right? So now I believe I have my own sound. And me personally, the reason I haven't wanted to put out music videos is because in my mind, I've believed for a long time that I'm a multi-millionaire. I'm a billionaire. In my mind, I'm not doing anything that I can't throw a milli at. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not going to do a music video if I can't throw $1 million at it, have it all the special effects, be out and in. But now we have the metaverse. Like, it's going to be like, what a perfect manifestation. You understand? Like, I've always wanted like immersive art. Like when people hear my music, I try to send people to a place, right? Well, now what if I get to create that place and you get to experience that in the metaverse? Looks like my vision paid off. I think that's why you have to have long-term vision and not sell yourself short. Like, I don't give a fuck if I haven't made a music video in 7 years. Like, when I make one and when everything pops off, when Fight for You pops off, when everything manifests, we will be able to do all we want to do at the level we want to do. And that's what's important to me.
Man, I love that part about bringing people to a place and how the metaverse can serve that. I'm curious of where do you see the music industry and the music space going when it comes to this Web3 NFT space?
Create immersive creative events. So there's been a bunch of times, like I would, if you guys remember the app Periscope, I remember I had a good run on Periscope, and after a couple months, like 1 or 2 months, I had 600 followers. I had a bunch of I had like 30 some super fans that would always be on all of my chat, and then I lost my login. I got a new phone and lost my login, and I was never able to get it back. I had a YouTube channel. If you follow me, I got taken down off of YouTube, right? And I just, because I don't shut up, and I call things how I see it, and I don't give a fuck. If you like what I say, awesome. If you don't, totally cool, but I'm still going to speak what I believe to be the truth. And so I look at that, right? And I go, man, there's been multiple times that, and I went viral back in 2012. I had Herb Dean tweet me back when I went viral. I had a bunch of celebrities tweet me and follow me after I went viral. And back then, social media wasn't important to me, and I didn't really see the long-term value of it. And I deleted my Twitter of like 22,000 followers or whatever after, because I didn't see the value in it, right? And I deleted my YouTube channel way back in the day when I had a couple hundred subscribers. And I just think, what if I would have kept that, right? Like, what if we would have kept all of that? So now with the metaverse, what I plan to do is I plan to stream and I love interacting with people while I make music, right? I just love it. So I want to use the metaverse to kind of like host interactive almost concerts, music making, and then we could offer that as NFTs or like sole ownership. Who's ever in on the live could get ownership of whatever song I'm making. I think that would be dope. That was one thing that like I always wanted to do was have a live where I make a beat and the highest gifter essentially would get exclusive rights to the beat. Like I think there's many ways to do that with the metaverse. And that's what I'm most excited for, I guess, for me personally.
Yeah. Douglas, if you wanted to jump in, brother.
Yeah. So one of the things that, I feel like a lot of the music that really makes it to the kind of mainstream top levels has a very much like people in the studio, like especially in hip hop, like we're chilling in the studio, these are the homies, we're just kind of chopping it up, and then this magic happens. And what you're saying kind of strikes that chord with the ability to capture that live moment of that magic happening, and then
Yep,
being able to tangibly,
exactly.
assign value to that and monetize it. I'm curious, do you think that NFTs are going to change the entire format of the way we experience music as opposed to the way
Yes.
how do you
Yep.
see that kind of evolving?
Uh, I mean, just that we can now assign ownership simply, easily, and tangibly, as well as being having the ability to sell that ownership. I mean, like I've always looked at my music as art. I've wanted to figure out how I could sell all of my singles as individual pieces. Like when I make a song, I believe that it has some form of mastery to it. I'm not putting it out if I don't see how it either tells a story, conveys a message, or is just a complete piece of work slash art. Now we can get paid for that. And we can
Mm-hmm.
get paid for that in a big way. And I just don't see how you could compete otherwise. Before artists would put out an album, hope to sell a couple million copies to make, 30% or whatever they were going to make from those a couple million sales. Now, hey, I can make $1 million off of just releasing this song. If you really like this song and this is a hit, you buy, and then if you want to sell it, you can sell it, and I'm still going to make residuals off that. That's genius.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't everybody do that? That just makes more sense. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, beat makers, as a beat maker, as a producer, we have been ahead of the curve for a very long time, from soundclick.com to soundcloud.com to BeatStars to fucking Air, but whatever, we've been ahead of the curve.
And I love seeing all the uniqueness that goes into when people make like even a certain beat, all the variations that they can put on it, and like how they can make it flow in such like a what we call non-linear way. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing. And then also like when we were talking earlier, like you mentioned smart contracts and just how disruptive it is. And once creatives catch on to this, how they can eat with everybody. Everyone's at the table feasting together. It's a
Bingo.
beautiful space. Um,
Bingo. Community. That's how NFTs are different, is it creates community. The only before, as an artist, you would have to have a show, you would have to have an event, and that's how people would come together, and super fans were created. They would travel the country, and I have a friend, I have friends that they have a lot of money, and they pretty much followed AC/DC everywhere they went, right? They were super fans, and they would be backstage with them because they came to all the events. You understand? That's what all fans are hoping for, that they have that type of connection with an artist. Well, now you get to own some of my work. Now you can make money off of my work if I want to give you royalties. You understand what I'm saying? That's the community piece that I feel like all artists have been wanting to create. Now NFTs get to allow that to happen.
Man, I think that's some powerful kind of forward-looking ideas. The fact that you've been in this digital asset space for so long as a producer, I think is really important for people to understand that there's been actually people in the digital space who have been selling digital assets one by one,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
Yep.
actually really unique to producers. There's not a lot of people in that space. So I think that you come from a really unique perspective of already putting your work out there and kind of thinking about how that's happening, how you're scaling that, how you're building community around that, which is what I see Web3 is all about, you know. So I'm just really grateful to have this conversation with you, Joe, because, you know, you do bring something really special to this space. And I'm personally excited to see what you're building in Web3, you know, with what you're thinking about, how you're thinking, and just from where you're coming at it. Yeah, brother, I feel really blessed that we were able to have your information and your knowledge be spread today.
I'm grateful for that. You know, as you were talking, I was thinking, you know, back when I used to sell beats, part of the reason I stopped selling beats was because I didn't want to put a price on my exclusives. I thought it was bullshit that I had to say, well, this beat is worth, you know, 400. This beat is worth 1500. Like, fuck that. Like, my beats are worth, I believe, way more than that, right? I believe
Hmm.
everything that I do is a hit, you know what I mean? So, in its own right, you just got to find the pocket. So it's like now with NFTs, you guys decide, the world decides. And I look at hip hop as a competition, right? Like that's why I rap the way that I do. That's why I bet, you know, battle rap is in my spirit. Hip hop was the first thing to give me identity. Rap was the first thing that I could feel like confident, where I had like sexual bravado, where I had everything, you know what I mean? I had posture, I had crowd control, I had, you know, it gave me that belief. And now it's like we get to see we
Mm.
now get to see in a real in NFT space, there ain't no label. There's no label that can save you. You understand? I mean, I'm sure
Hmm.
labels are gonna fuck around and buy, you know, people's NFTs and try to bump up the price and all that. But now we really get to see who's worth what.
Mm.
What ideas are
Mhm.
worth this? What you know
Exactly.
that's what I'm most excited for. So thank you for bringing that up, brother. Just got the spirit in me going, the hip hop spirit in me going.
Yes, sir. Well, yo, I want to say big thank you to Joe, our guest. I want to say thank you to Box and Ethan, and definitely all y'all that's tuning in to the Endless Sounds experience. We got a lot of big surprises for y'all, including some airdrops. We're also working on an NFT project that's been in the works for some months now. So, you know, all of this is integrating into what we're doing in this NFT music Web3 space. So we just really appreciate all y'all who are here early. We saw y'all up in the studio. So the people joining us live in the Metaverse, big shout out to Crypto Voxels. And yeah, we just want to say much, much love for everybody for tuning in. And until next
Absolutely.
time, peace and love, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.